The facility screamed as it died. Steel beams twisted like wounded animals, and the deep hum of unstable machinery drowned out every human voice trapped inside its collapsing halls. Logan moved through the smoke with the calm of a man who had walked through worse. Blood dripped from his knuckles, though the wounds beneath had already closed. He was hunting something. He always was. The enemy ahead had triggered the reactor on purpose, hoping to bury Logan under a mountain of fire and steel. But Logan had seen too many centuries to fear a grave. He rounded the final corridor just as the core erupted, and for the first time in a long life, the pain that followed felt unfamiliar. It was not heat. It was not force. It was a tearing, as if the world itself had cracked open beneath his boots. Then silence. He awoke on concrete, beneath a sky glowing with digital billboards. Smiling faces stared down at him, larger than life, wearing capes and perfect teeth. The city pulsed with light and slogans, yet the people beneath those billboards did not smile back. They walked with lowered eyes, quickened steps, and the quiet posture of those who had learned to survive by not being noticed. Logan rose slowly. His senses screamed with the smell of blood beneath perfume, of fear disguised as celebration. Somewhere nearby, a costume man was shouting for cameras, dragging terrified civilians into a staged rescue. Logan moved without thinking. Claws slid free with a familiar hiss, and the hero's cruelty was exposed in a single, precise moment. The crowd did not cheer. They ran. Within hours, his face flickered across every screen in the city, branded a monster by a corporation he had never heard of. And far above, in a tower of glass and silence, Homelander watched the footage again and again. His X-ray vision found bones that should not exist. For the first time in years, he did not feel rage. He felt curious. He smiled softly and whispered, "Find him." Logan learned quickly that this world did not fight with fists. It fought with cameras. Every alley he crossed, every rooftop he leapt from, every stranger he saved, became footage twisted into something monstrous before the sun could set. Vought security drones tracked his scent through the city, and ambitious supes chased him like hounds hoping to earn a pat from their master. He did not kill them. He could have. He chose not to. That choice was what saved him the night the boys found him bleeding in a forgotten subway tunnel. Billy Butcher pressed a shotgun to his temple and waited for the flinch that never came. Logan simply looked up, tired eyes meeting tired eyes, and said nothing. It was Butcher who lowered the weapon first. In a safe house lit by flickering bulbs, Butcher explained the shape of this world. There were no schools for the gifted here. No mentors in wheelchairs dreaming of peace. No oaths sworn beneath cowls and capes. Heroes were products. Justice was a brand. And Compound V was the poison poured into every legend the public was told to love. Logan listened in silence. He had fought governments, mutants, and gods. He had never fought a lie this large. Meanwhile, deep within Vought's white laboratories, technicians stared at Logan's blood samples in disbelief. The cells regenerated without Compound V. They regenerated without any known cause at all. To Homelander, watching from above, this was not a miracle. It was an insult. Something powerful existed that Vought had not built, could not own, and could not silence. Across the country, whispers began. A man with claws had stood against a soup and lived. Children drew him in notebooks. Strangers spoke of him in low voices at bus stops. Hope, that rarest of contraband, began to move again. Homelander smiled for the cameras and named Logan the greatest terrorist alive. Then, quietly, he ordered him taken alive. Beneath Vought Tower, past the polished lobbies and glittering marketing floors, the boys descended into corridors that did not appear on any blueprint. The walls here were older, colder, humming with a sound that made Logan's teeth ache. Butcher moved ahead with a torch. Logan followed with claws half drawn, sensing something in the air that reminded him of the moment reality had first broken open beneath his feet. They found the room by accident, a vault sealed behind decades of dust, filled with monitors still glowing faintly, still recording. Dimensional anomalies, the files called them. Tears in the fabric of the world, appearing for generations, quietly erased from every news cycle Vought controlled. Logan stood before a screen that showed his own arrival, captured from an angle no camera should have reached. He had not stumbled into this world. This world had been watching for him. The scientist's notes were frantic. Logan's presence was destabilizing the fractures. Across the globe, ordinary people were beginning to see things they could not explain. A second moon above Kansas. A forest of black towers flickering over the Pacific. Constellations no astronomer had ever charted, burning for 3 seconds above a sleeping city before vanishing. Homelander studied the same reports in his private chamber, and where others saw catastrophe, he saw inheritance. If the portals could be tamed, entire worlds could kneel. He did not want to close the fractures. He wanted to walk through them. For the first time, Logan understood the true shape of his enemy. Homelander was not driven by ambition or vengeance. He was driven by the simple, unbearable fact that anything at all existed beyond his reach. It was a hunger without bottom. The boys moved to sabotage the dimensional research while Logan drew the soups away, letting them break their fists against a body that would not stay broken. Yet with every regeneration, something inside him grew heavier. The wounds closed. The weariness did not. In the deepest archive, Butcher found the file that changed everything. Logan was not the first. Others had come before him, from other worlds, wearing other faces. They had been captured, studied, and erased. Their names were gone, their stories were gone. Only their bones remained, catalogued like specimens. The fractures were not accidents. Something on the other side was opening them on purpose, and it was still watching. The city came apart at the seams. Skyscrapers shimmered between two versions of themselves, one glass and steel, the other stone and ash. Streets stretched into landscapes that had never known human feet. Civilians ran through air that tasted of two skies at once, and above them all the sun flickered like a dying bulb. Homelander descended into the chaos with cameras trailing him like faithful dogs. He wanted the world to watch. He wanted the execution broadcast in every language, on every screen, so that no child would ever again whisper the name of the immortal stranger. He landed in the ruined square where Logan waited, and he smiled that perfect, practiced smile. Logan did not smile back. He was not there for revenge. He was not there for pride. He was there because a mother was trapped beneath a collapsed wall, because a child was crying in a doorway, because someone had to stand between the innocent and the storm. They collided like tectonic plates. Heat vision seared through Logan's chest and closed again before he hit the ground. Fists that could shatter tanks broke against a skeleton that would not yield. Homelander flew, struck, screamed, and Logan simply rose again, and again, and again. Each regeneration was a small death. Each small death carved something quieter out of him. Far beneath the city, the boys reached the dimensional core. Butcher's hand hovered over the trigger. He knew what destroying it would mean. The fractures would close. The gateway home would close with them. Logan would be stranded forever in a world that had never wanted him. Butcher pressed the trigger anyway. The choice in truth had already been made. Logan had made it the moment he stepped between Homelander and the fleeing crowd. He would not run home while strangers burned. He never had. Something changed in the people watching. A woman lifted her phone and streamed the truth. A man dragged a bleeding stranger from the rubble. A teenager stood in front of a soup and refused to move. The illusion Vought had spent decades building cracked in a single afternoon, because one stranger with claws had refused to look away. Logan drove Homelander into the heart of the collapsing reactor. The blast lit the sky white. Homelander escaped through the smoke, alive but wounded in a place no camera could film. The people had seen him bleed. The people had seen him lose. The portal sealed with a sound like a closing eye. When the dust cleared, the reactor was gone. Logan was gone with it. No one knew whether he had survived. Months passed, and the world did not return to what it had been. It could not. Too many people had seen too much. Vought's stock collapsed. Executives vanished into court hearings. Survivors spoke on camera without fear, because fear had lost its monopoly. Corruption still crawled through the cracks, but it no longer stood tall in daylight. The boys drank in silence more often than they celebrated. They understood, in the quiet way that survivors understand things, that Wolverine had done something none of them could have done alone. He had not merely exposed the machine. He had reminded a broken world that a single stubborn soul, unwilling to bend, was still enough to change everything. Homelander walked among his handlers with the same white smile, but the smile no longer reached his eyes. He heard the whispers in every crowd. He saw the doubt in every glance. He had survived, and survival had never felt so much like defeat. Belief, he now understood, was the one country he could not conquer. Across the world, strange things began to happen. A trafficker found dead in an alley, 3 clean cuts through his coat. A collapsing bus caught mid-fall by something no camera captured. A child rescued from a burning apartment by a shadow that left claw marks in the doorframe. Some called it myth. Others lit candles and left them by their windows at night. Then, in a research facility buried beneath the ice of the Northern Sea, an alarm began to sing. A dimensional anomaly, faint but unmistakable, blooming from the far side of the veil. Scientists gathered around the monitors as the signal sharpened. It was not opening from this world. It was opening toward it. For a single frozen second, the readings resolved into an image. 3 metallic claws parted the air like a curtain. Behind them, dozens of unknown life signs pressed forward, waiting, patient, and utterly unfamiliar. The screen went dark before anyone could speak. Somewhere far away, a wolf howled at a sky full of unfamiliar stars.